If you're thinking about selling your home in Denver, you might want to act fast. Guys, the market is heating up in a big way. More buyers are entering the market. Inventory is still relatively low, and home prices are on the rise. But here's the catch. This window won't last forever. And in today's update, I want to break down why exactly now between February and May is the best time to sell and how you can maximize your home's value before the market shifts. Guys, let's dive in. I'm going to show you statistics today. I'm going to break down everything I just said and why you need to pay attention if you are considering selling your home in 2025. And buyers, the inverse of this is generally true. So if you're a buyer not looking to sell, knowing what's beneficial for sellers generally works inversely. So there's going to be some great insights for you as well. Let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen with you guys here shortly. Let me just make sure. Yeah, we're live. Okay. So if we do, yep, right here, we're live. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I can and will respond and would love nothing more to talk to you guys about your questions versus just talking to the camera, going through my stuff, even though I think it is very valuable. The first thing we're going to start off with this week is going to be our weekly market brief. This is a report that my brokerage, Colorado Home Realty, puts out once a week from a guy very much smarter than I. And while we typically land on similar things because we're looking at similar data, it's always just a good digest of a report to go through, and then I'll start breaking down some stats for you guys. So inventory is on the rise, driven by a record number of new listings for this time of year, even as more sellers than usual put their homes on the market. Buyer showings remain strong, though contract activity is modest and seller concessions remain elevated. Days on market continues to decline, and the average sold price is beginning its typical seasonal climb. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm not lying when I do my titles and I do my thumbnails. I'm telling the truth. Rising prices. The average sold price will likely climb over the next 12 weeks before beginning a slow descent toward the end of the year. Last week's average sold price for all property types reached $703,000 compared to $674,000 last year and $660,000 the two prior years, beating all previous records for this time of year. That's awesome. I mean, that, guys, wow, that's amazing. Single family homes mirror this trend with an average sold price of $792,000 last week, also outpacing all previous years. Inventory, a record for this time of year. 1,165 new homes hit the market last week, driving available inventory to 7,576 homes, a level well above seasonal average for the past 15 years and 50% higher than the same time last year. When I said inventory is still relatively low, what I was getting at is look right here where we passed that 10,000 threshold. Yeah, you guys don't want to be selling here, okay? Promise you that. You don't want to be selling in this mess. You want to be selling right here. I'll tell you why soon. As inventory and competition rise, top-notch property preparation and appropriate pricing are paramount for sellers seeking the best outcomes. Guys, I cannot express to you enough the importance of property preparation and pricing appropriately. And I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, for a lot of folks, this actually takes a lot of time, energy, and effort, both on your part as a seller and on your agent's part. And I think that's the part I'm a little bit more concerned with. Guys, I am that type of person that sees the best in all people. I thought there were just amazing agents everywhere you look, but I don't know what truth there is to that. And what I'm getting at here is you really need a high-level professional, especially in this market. It takes this level of analysis, not just on the market, but on your neighborhood, on your city, in your specific home, to ensure that you're pricing appropriately and you have the proper strategies going into it, along with the best guidance possible in terms of property preparation. Because if you can get those two things right, you're going to do really, really well in this market. If you don't get those two things right, you're going to do really, really poorly. in this market. I see it time and time and time again where folks just put the price way too high to begin with. And then they fall and they fall and they fall and they fall to a price that likely they would have gotten more had they just priced appropriately from the very beginning. So super, super important to have a team. If you don't know, I'm a licensed real estate in Colorado. I have been for 10 years. The greater Denver metro and surrounding areas. I would love to support you guys. I'll make this very, very easy. My number is 303-332-1108. Again, 303-332-1108. Reach out to me. Can't wait to talk with you guys. Whether I'm the agent for you or not, I'm sure I can point you in the right direction and get you guys set up properly. All right, let's go to showings. Buyers remain quite active for this time of year, with year-to-date showings surpassed. Excuse me. Oh, gosh. Guys, I was out sick for a week. I'm never sick for a week, ever. Here we are. Buyers remain quite active for this time of year, with year-to-date showings surpassed only by outlier years of 2021 and early 2022, where rates were like 2 to 3%. So really, really good showing activity this year thus far. Okay. Still higher interest rates are slowing decisions, and move inventory allows, and more inventory. My goodness. Sorry, guys. More inventory allows buyers to take their choosing from a wider selection of homes. Traditionally, the average home needed 18 to 21 showings before receiving an offer. Today, that figure is closer to 31. While there are market experiences of multiple offers and 21% of the properties are selling for over asking price, sellers should be prepared for longer marketing times and exceptional property preparation to maximize value in these market conditions. Days on market. Average days on market has already fallen from 41 at the start of the year to 49 this past week. We expect this figure to keep dropping through late April or early May, then slowly rising as we move toward year's end. He's referencing like this time right here where you see it kind of shift and then days on market goes back up. Conclusions. Overall, the market is proceeding as expected. Inventory is climbing. Buyer showings remain steady and will likely increase. Prices are trending upward and days on market is declining. However, the current plateau in pending contracts should remind sellers to watch the market shifts closely each week and consider proactive property improvements or price improvements if they are getting showings but no offers. That said, don't rush to cut prices prematurely. That's where a great agent comes in. Values will keep rising for the next 12 weeks. So a home that's overpriced today might hit the sweet spot in a couple of months. That's the digest, guys. Let's dive into data. I want to show you guys kind of the narrative here, and it's not a narrative made up. This is the narrative of the market. We're just essentially reading these data lines and telling you what story is being told. And so with that, I want to go through the data points and articulate them in a way that makes sense to you guys so that you really understand why is a really great time to sell and can make smart real estate decisions because of it. So with that, let's dive in. I'm just throwing up the chat, seeing if anyone has mentioned, has thrown in a comment. No, you guys haven't. That's all good. Throw your comments in. We'd love to know where you're joining from. Also, we'd love to know what your take on the market is, what you're seeing, what your thoughts are. Believe this, guys. Obviously, I'm doing this in Colorado and Denver. I was on a mastermind group with a group in New Jersey. He was saying they had 11 offers and waiting on 9 more for his listing. Absolutely insane. We're talking the market of 2020, 2021, where rates were 2 to 3%. I was absolutely mind blown. Had no clue that market even existed in the States. But essentially what's happening in their market is if we look at inventory in ours, this is inverse. So they have very, very, very little inventory in Jersey. So as soon as a home comes up, people are jumping all over it because there's nothing else available. And so when you have very, very low supply and high demand, you get situations where listings are going over asking and they have multiple offers. So it's kind of crazy that that's happening in Jersey, but here in Colorado, that is not the case. Let's dive in. And again, throw your comments in the chat. I am watching and would love to answer questions. All right. So here we are. We're looking at the 7-county Denver metro area. And through that, we're looking at both single family and detached homes. If you guys want me to look at a certain segment of the market, whether that be a zip code, county, city, price range, or we could do single family instead of detached, you guys let me know. But until then, I'm just going to rock with just the overall market of Denver Metro, including what I told you it includes. So as you can see, average sales price per week, we're on an upward trend. That's good. That to me is healthy. We want this trend because the reality is, if you look at pricing January 1st of 2024, it went, here, I'll just show you the blue chart. It went up and then it went down, right? We ended the year, a data point that was below where we started. It was below the low of the year, right? So we know with a fair amount of certainty that these seasonal charts always play out. Here's 2023, and then pricing retracts. 2022, same thing. Now, granted, interest rates rose, so this was probably the biggest decline in retraction we've had in a while. But nonetheless, we want this chart to start playing out the way it is because that's a healthy market. So we want pricing to be on an upward trend. It is. That's the average price per week. This is the median sales price per week, both in an upward trend. Oops. And then we're going to go to new listings, I think is next here. I prefer not to see new listings on the rise, but it is, and that's typical. Or seasonally, you see the same thing with new listings. People are rushing to get their house in the market kind of plateaus, and then it falls. As far as under contracts per week, we're on an upward trend. I love to see that. That means buyers are putting houses under contract. And if we have new listings rising, we need under contracts to rise as well. Because if we have too many new listings without enough going under contract, the market's going to get bloated. There's going to be too much inventory. And that's typically when you see a price trend that's going down. So being that we have more uptrend in homes going under contract, really, really, really good thing. It's right in line with 2023 numbers, a little above 2024 numbers. Really, really good news. As far as sold count by week, we are on an uptrend. This is good. It's following seasonal trends. And what you guys will see in almost all these charts, you see somewhat of a plateau and then a dip all the way down into December. That's why I'm saying right now, guys, right now to about mid to end of April is your sweet spot. Guys, if you're calling me wanting to sell your home in like November, that's okay. Please still do call me. We'll strategize. We'll figure out a good game plan for you. But like, you missed the boat. For this year, the time to sell is now between end of April. And I'm explaining that through these charts. List to contract days on market. When you put a sign in the yard to when you actually sell, go under contract, it's on a downward trend. Again, the market is heating up. It kind of plateaus right here, and then it starts getting colder and colder and colder to where you typically reach close to, if not all-time high in terms of average days on market, the beginning of the year, coming off of the holidays, October through December, buying season. So this is really where you want to be as a seller so that your house is selling in a relatively quick amount of time. Now, there's a little bit of a difference, right, between 24 and 25 and 23. I mean, we're at the highest days on market than we have been in the past 5 years. 2020 and 21 don't count. Early 22 kind of doesn't count either. But there is, why aren't we following 23 and 24? Why did this 2024 graph here in the blue tell off here and create a gap? I'll explain that here shortly. If you've been following the channel, you probably know this. And I would highly encourage you guys subscribe. Like literally, please, right now, as you're listening, hit the subscribe bell so you can be the first to know what's happening in the market. Because the reality is, guys, the market shifts day by day, week by week, month by month. So if you're catching this one a month from now, you're already late on what's actually happening in today's market. Now, there's some valuable insights I give in every video that apply to any market, but make sure to subscribe so you're not missing out on things. List to sell days. This is when you put a sign in the yard to when you actually sell on a downward trend. That's awesome. We like to see that. Concessions, you can see that we're on an upward trend, kind of falling down a little bit, and we expect that to happen seasonally as it does every year because the market's getting hotter, more buyer competition, less of a need to negotiate as a seller, and then you're going to lose all that leverage here at the end of the year. Sold price versus final price. That's essentially stating what price did you sell at versus the final price of the listing. You might have original listing price. You did price reductions. What is that final price reduction before you sold? And that's what it's showing here. And it's showing this red line that 48% of the properties last week sold below listing price. 24% sold at their final price. And then the 26% of properties sold above that final list price. Now, what's cool here is you can see this green line. It's on it. Oh, shnikes. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Concessions. Dang, did you guys see any of this? Yeah. Concessions. That's the chart I was showing you. They're kind of falling down. They typically fall down and then plateau and go up at the end of the year because there's less negotiating power for a seller. Here's the graph. This is how many listings are selling below listing price. The orange line, brown line is showing you at the listing price, and the green line is above listing price. So you can see there's an upward trend here in the green line. That's great for sellers. That's great. Same thing for sold price, original price, and then you got final price versus original price. We're not going to get into too much of that, but what I do want to just take a look at, because we do every week, is showing data and inventory. So if we look at weekly showings per year, we're down from, sorry. I want to look at, this is what we want to look at. Weekly showings per year. So it's saying in week 7, we had 23,000 showings. That's more than 23. It's more than 2024. That's great news. It's such great news. I'll tell you why here in a sec. Showings per listing, relatively low. So even though we have all that many more showings from 2024, the average amount of showings per listing per week is right in line with 2024. I'll show you why in a second. And then showings per contract. This is what we talked about a little bit here in this brief, but it's just stating that, if you look at this kind of trend line, this little blue line, that's kind of the trend. And we've been around that like 18 to 20 mark of how many showings it takes a listing before they go under contract. As you can see, we're quite a bit above that and have been for some time. Last week was 30 showings before going under contract. The reason for that, guys, and everything I just said, I can tell you why here in a sec, is this. It's inventory. We've got more inventory. So you have more homes to look at. So even though you have more showings, when you have more inventory, you get a situation where even though we have a significant amount more showings than we did last year, at this time, the showings per listing are about equal because we just have more listings and inventory. That's also why it's at a, somewhat of a record high of how many showings it takes before you get a contract, is because there's just so much more inventory. So we're seeing market dynamics to where buyers are a little more picky. They're willing to go see more homes. They're a little more patient in putting an offer on a house. And so because of that, and the reason for that is they can be. Like, they have this many more homes to see. And so because of that, not to mention new builds, right? Because of that, they're just taking more time. And so that's why, even though we have many more showings than we did this time of year versus last time of year, because we have more inventory, it's just taking buyers a little bit longer to put homes under contract. So, but with all of these dynamics, now's the time to sell, guys. And because of this inventory, like this should worry you. It would worry me if I was a seller of like, do I want to sell here where inventory's at like all-time highs, right? I should say all-time highs for like the last 10 years or so, especially relative to the last 5 years. And we're already starting out quite a bit more than than 2024. So you have to imagine, does this gap continue on? If so, guys, we're going to be in a really slow market at the end of the year. Very, very buyer friendly. As a seller, like it's more important now than it has been probably in the last 10 years to pick the market timing for your listing. Like even in 2023, it didn't matter as much because inventory still remained low. But when we have inventory going up and up and up and creating that big gap, when buyer demand falls, as it typically does seasonally every year, after about June, it plateaus and then falls all the way in December. Like this is where you sell. Let me show you a clear picture of what I mean here. So if you had sold here in December or week 23 of 2023, right, as opposed to here, this price, average price in this week was 613, whereas right here was 746. Now, guys, value doesn't, like, this is taking a huge data set. So I'm not saying your house would have fallen that much in value, but what I am saying is that selling here is going to yield way better results than selling here. Now, let's say price. You see this kind of price stability here a little bit. Let's say your price is the same, but if you sell here, you're going to sell so much quicker than if you're selling here, right? And so that same thing played out in 2024. This price was 763. This price was 608. So I'm just showing you guys seasonally. Now, until about here is the best time to sell. It just is. It's what the market tells us. And it tells us that year in and year out, over and over and over again. So I hope you guys find some value in these videos. Please be sure to subscribe if you do. We're really looking to grow this channel. I love doing these lives. Would much rather do these lives with a bunch of people here, asking questions, engaging with me. That's where this gets really, really fun. And I'm able to answer some questions that, might be a little out of the box that you guys are interested in hearing. So be sure to subscribe, share this with your friends, family. And if you guys need help, again, I am a licensed realtor here in Colorado, have been for the past 10 years. My number is 303-332-1108. Would love nothing more to help you guys. That's it for today. We have a live video, Ask a Realtor Anything, next week from 7 to 8. That's an actual event, whereas these are just live market updates that we do every Wednesday. So be sure to check that out. We'll see you next week for both a live market update, and then in the evening time, we'll jump on and do an Ask a Realtor Anything event. Thank you guys for being a part of the journey.